Welcome back to another edition of History in Your Own Backyard. I'm Susie Selleck, and today we're in Brown County at the Gladsad Manor. I'm here with Don Schindel. Don, thank you so much for having us.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate this.
So it's beautiful out here. Absolutely beautiful. I love that we were talking earlier. I want to know a little bit more about the history behind the house. But first of all, I think the bricks that make up this house are absolutely cool. I love the uniqueness of the story. So why don't we just start there?
All righty. In the 1840s, the house was built, and it was all built with local resources. The timber came from the forest behind us, and it also, the bricks and clay came from the creek bed back behind the farm. They actually had their own kiln right here on the spot. And I don't know how long it took to build, but I can only imagine it was quite some time.
I think it's incredible. The bricks were built right here on the property.
Yes.
How did this home come to be in your family?
Well, my grandfather was a minister in Maysville, Kentucky. And he was there during the 1920s to the 1930s. And he would prepare for retirement for the chicken farm, so to speak. And he would perform weddings and funerals as an off-budget item from the church. So therefore, it would be like a DJ working at the radio station and then doing dances on the weekends.
Yep.
He would get $2 for a wedding and $5 for a funeral. Okay. And the reason that he got $5 for the funeral is because in Kentucky during Prohibition, most families, their income was from moonshine. So you had to say something nice but not refer to the family business.
Right.
In 1933, someone in the congregation knew of this farm that was available. And it just so happened that my grandmother and grandfather had amassed $2,000 in 1933 and put it in an earthen jar. I know the earthen jar is around here somewhere. I can't find it, but I know it's around here. I'll know where it is.
Trust issues with the banks back then, right?
Yes, they would not put money in banks in the 1920s. So he came here in 1933. And they would spend the month of July here as a family and work on it and live here. He would improve the place, which one of them is taking the 30-plus silver maple trees to go and line the driveway.
Which is stunning. Yes. The wedding pictures are absolutely gorgeous, and it creates a feeling when you come through it yourself. Yes.
Well, the reason that I'm here is that my mother and father came back from World War II, and there was a housing shortage. And my father, being from Chicago, couldn't go back to that house because his two brothers had brought their wives home. And my grandfather had the opportunity to become a professor at Morehead State University and be an English professor and also head up the religion department.
Okay.
And so there was no place for my mother and father to go. Well, my grandfather said to my mother, "Why don't you go to Gladsad?" Now, the reason he called it Gladsad is because it was glad for the weddings and sad for the funerals. And being from Kentucky and you have an estate, it's got to have a highfalutin name.
That's true.
Now, my father did not know anything about Gladsad Manor. And he and my mother just referred to it as, it's an old farm that my dad bought for his retirement. Well, the story goes that my father turned down that driveway, pulled in front of the house, and looked at my mom and said, "I don't know what you have in mind, but we sure aren't going back to Chicago."
That's awesome.
And so my father was an entrepreneur. He was able to take on a lot of opportunities in the county. And he lived here for over 60 years, and he was still considered an outsider. But if anybody needed any resources, my father was always glad to help. I understand that in the 1840s, through probably during the Civil War, the family that owned this building, they had a broom factory on the second floor. You can actually see where the machinery has worn in the wooden floors from the pedal-powered equipment. They would plant the corn out in the front fields. Then once it was harvested, they would bring the stalks in and make the corn brooms.
So here's a question. There's a wing or an addition, I guess, that you guys have put on. You call it the Holiday Inn room?
Well, when we all went to college and Mom and Dad were the only two people here, it was rather expensive to heat.
Yeah, it's huge, I can imagine.
So what Mom and Dad did is they added an addition and modeled it after a 1970s Holiday Inn room.
That's great.
And it's one of the additions, and that way they only had to heat certain parts of the house in the wintertime.
However, in the summertime, let me ask you this. Okay. We were looking at this beautiful lake. The view right off of the Florida room is just stunning. Yes. Was that an addition as well?
That was an addition as well in the 1970s. My mother wanted to have a small A-frame house built across the lake, or the farm pond. My father said no. So one day he came in with all the equipment and his friends that had equipment, and they started putting this addition on. And it is we call it the Florida room because it's like 4 sliding glass doors facing the lake.
Oh, and it's a beautiful view. Yeah, and then you guys have a great dance floor as well for weddings. I mean, this is, I understand there's so many other things that go on here event-wise, and I know you've got a lot of people that meet here and that kind of stuff, but the wedding seems like it would just be absolutely stunning here.
It's stunning, yes, I agree. I've had 7 weddings here in the first 2 seasons. I'm already booked. I've got 8 weddings this season already booked. What I want to do is I want to make people understand that all I really have to offer are 2 big rooms and 1 bathroom in the great outdoors. So it isn't like I have all the amenities. But the people that are getting married in this area, they don't go for fancy, too fancy.
Okay.
And I want them to have a home atmosphere without basically being their home.
That's what this is.
So what I do is I offer it for the weekends, like let them come in on Fridays afternoons and do their decorating. Saturdays, they do the final decorating, have the wedding, have the reception, the party, and then on Sunday afternoon, come back and clean everything up. All I have to do is make sure I've got the trash bags, and I just take care of the trash.
And caterers and all that kind of stuff, they get to come in, they
caterers
use the kitchen.
Come in.
It's just really convenient.
It's very convenient.
Yeah, I do. I love the room with all the mirrors in it where the bride and the bridesmaids probably get ready. The lighting in there is great. Us ladies love that. But and plenty of mirrors in there.
Plenty of mirrors. I turned the Holiday Inn room into the bridal suite.
Into the bridal suite. Yes. Yeah, nice touch, Don.
Yes. Okay.
Well, is there anything else that you want to talk about? I mean, I'd actually like to know what your future plans are. This is a great property, a great building. So future plans.
The future plans is to basically maintain and improve so that people will have fond memories of their events. Most of the events that are going on are family reunions, weddings, and social charity groups come down, like the Lions Club, VFWs, and things like that, where they have the small meetings. The future of the place is basically just to keep improving on it. Now, as far as there's been a lot of talk about making it into a bed and breakfast, that might be something in the future. But for right now, I've got 2 rooms, 2 big rooms and a bathroom, and let's take it from there and see what happens.
I think you're doing a great job with the weddings, but a B&B might be the way to go for the future, Don. Thank you for watching another edition of History in Your Own Backyard. I'm Susie. Today we were Don at the Gladsad Manor. And remember, travel slowly and stop often. Bye for now.